Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, podsters. Yes, that's right, you're listening to a TV special, and of course we are looking at the latest big, shiny, spanking new Disney Plus show from Marvel. That is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we'll be having a look at that, and I expect we'll do Loki and all the other ones coming up as well, and I'll certainly set up a new league table just for that. And as always, I am joined by the comic book encyclopedia man, which he should be known as, Boaz Dix. Wrong universe. How are you, sir? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Yeah.
So, should we go with your pick first, as yours is earlier on in
chronologically?
The show? Yeah.
These just connect.
Sense.
This is just one big film, basically.
Yeah.
The two of these episodes. I went with episode 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
So why did you pick this one?
To be honest, I was only like halfway through the fourth one when you said, "Oh, should we pick?" So I was like, "Yeah, all right." I think you'd already picked the fourth one, I think. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll pick the third one." You know.
All right.
Another thing that kind of made me. We'll get into it when we get into it. But when Sharon Carter started doing her thing, I was like, "This is pretty cool."
All right.
Yeah.
So what is this episode about, briefly?
So they. From the previous episodes, the start of the series, there's this group called the Flag Smashers. They're a sort of freedom fighting / terrorist organization of like immigrants. It's kind of interesting, I think, like the full story of this, how they connect it. They're connecting all these shows to like Endgame and stuff, and raising like problems that ending would cause.
With the GRC.
Yeah, the GRC.
What they're trying to do.
Yeah. So basically, after the snap, immigrants were allowed in any country, refugees and stuff, and have lived there for 5 years. Then when everything undid, and, the original people are back, they took these people away, put them back into camps.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting idea, and, obviously they're not happy about that. They don't have a lead on where Carly is, who's head of the Flag Smashers. They decide to break out Zemo out of prison, the bad guy from Civil War, and team up with
very
him to
easily, I might add.
Very easily. Very easily. That prison is terrible. That's really bad. It's like the most half-assed... Like, they don't even have to break him out. I don't even know exactly what he did, the Winter Soldier, because he was saying how he could break out. And it was just basically get one guy to fight another guy. Yeah, start a riot. But he did it just by writing a note to one guy of like, that guy's going to kill you over there. It's like, why didn't he do that years ago? He had every chance. Yeah. Is that his secret plan? Just right. Yeah, that guy wants to punch you in the face. Oh, shit. Then I can just walk out the door.
Surely you got to have some magnet boots from Face Off or something.
Yeah. It's crazy. Or you remember like the prison escape in like Iron Man 2, he had like a body double and C4 and all that. Yeah, it was an underwhelming prison escape.
Yeah.
I do like the setup how he was it was a like what if and then he's there with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. So that's the main plot. They get Zemo's help trying to look for a lead, and he takes them to Madripoor, which is a place that is in the comics. It's a very important location, and it's its first introduction here. And they find more information and like the super soldier serum, the new super soldier serum, the Flag Smashers have taken, where that's located. So yeah, that's basically the episode in a nutshell.
You mentioned Madripoor there, and I did like the way it was kind of like the look of it, like how it was all like neon lit, and it was had this like smokiness to it of you know, and just looked really dark and just really like interesting, you know, just very different to anywhere we've really seen in the MCU before. And did you notice the Princess Bar reference there?
No, which one?
Apparently in the comics, like Wolverine hung out there.
Yeah,
and he wanted to lay low.
Yeah, he's got like an alternate identity, which is very much associated when he wants to get information in Madripoor, called Patch or something.
Oh, okay.
Like he wears an eye patch. It's really stupid and pretends to be someone else. You know, and he talks to the underworld. Yeah,
talks to the underworld. Oh, right.
Well, yeah, you know, the criminals and stuff. If he wants to find out stuff.
I thought you meant hell there for a second. I'm not sure he had that ability with his nose before. But yeah, I just calm down, fans, that this is not, you know, a way of introducing the X-Men or anything. It's just a random reference.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. It's basically, just expanding the universe a bit and adding. Because, I mean, they could have used, I suppose, a real city or a real location, but it's good to draw in from, you know, more of the source material.
And like Bucky taking out a load of goons in Madripoor looked really cool and brutal, but I mean, because it was so dark, some of the shots didn't land particularly great for me because of like the dark lighting. I wasn't geographically not following it amazingly in some shots, but I like the fact that the Winter Soldier music motif came back. You know that.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to like the, you know, the quality, well, no, I was just even saying the camera work and the action, the cinematography of the show, the lighting. I'm not sure. I think that's one of the things that's like holding it back from me. It's not. It doesn't have to be bright and rich and colorful, but there is a kind of, I don't know, sort of dull, muted look to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I think it would have helped in Madripoor if it was like a lot more richer and vibrant. I think the way I can sort of describe it is, do you remember like Black Panther when they went to Korea? Yeah, they were in like South Korea. I mean, that was dark. That was nighttime. But it was a lot more, you know, colourful. It was a lot more colourful, exactly. Everything was more colourful. Like this, the cinematography in this series is quite dark and it's quite, the colours are quite muted. Yeah. So you go to a dark place, you're like, I can't really see much. So that would be a huge criticism on my part from like the cinematography of the series.
I think I would agree with that. Yeah. Certainly in that fight in particular.
Yeah.
And when they're like escaping as well, I would imagine that's probably why no one could shoot anything when they're running away. I'm like, really? Okay. I mean, when they get to all like the dock area with all the shipping containers, I love, as you mentioned briefly, Sharon Carter's fight scene was really cool because I liked it because it stayed consistent to how like the Russo brothers directed their like fisticuff action in Winter Soldier and Civil War. I just like that appreciation of consistency there.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't expecting her to kick so much ass. It's like,
it was really well done.
Yeah, it was really well done. They're talking to the scientist Nagel, and that's interspliced with, you know, people going around the shipping containers trying to get to them. They've got no idea, and Sharon Carter, who I think she should be called like Jessie Bourne or something like that. You know, she's like the twin sister of James Bourne. She's just coming out of nowhere, just snapping necks and shit.
I just feel like there's three guys like interrogating Nagel in this lab. I'm like, seriously, one of you can hear what the hell's going on. Surely one of you can help her out.
Exactly. One of you keep lookout. You don't need all these you know, you got two superheroes and one supervillain. Just one of you, just look outside.
I mean, she didn't exactly need much help, but they were just like, yeah, she's got it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Even though they've never seen her fight before. But
no, exactly, yeah. She's just a normal person. But yeah, she kicked a lot of ass.
But one action scene I didn't particularly liked, and it kind of annoyed me, was when Zemo does his action bit when he puts his purple mask on. Because he was established as like a thinker and a strategist, you know. Yeah. And combat was never his thing. And putting the mask on just seemed a bit pointless. I don't really get that. It just... Yeah. It looked cool, but that was it, you know? Yeah, it's just very superficial.
Exactly. I do think it's kind of superficial. It's like trying to connect, I suppose, the character from the comics, like as, you know, a Captain America villain, and, you know, he's very colourful mask and all that, with the character from Civil War. And if he had been established a bit more as being like that, because he's not really like that in Civil War, you know? He's more like a spy. you know.
Yeah.
And
His intelligence is his superpower.
Yeah.
You know, not an action guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did like the shot of the flames like in the foreground. That looked quite good, to be fair. Have you got a favourite shot then in this episode?
No, actually, when he shot the scientist, that was pretty cool. At the same time, like the missile hit the container and like flew around. I thought that was pretty cool. It's just
got to have an explosion there somewhere.
Yeah, you got to have an explosion. Explosions are great. Just gotta kick things into high gear.
My favourite shot was the reveal of Florence Kasumba as AO. Looked really cool as the camera, like,
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Bucky, goes from
empty street, then
right to left, then right, left to right. That was quite cool. That bit to reveal her.
That was good.
They're creeping up on him.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while actually. I was just like, why are the Wakandans here? I don't get it. And then it's like, oh yeah, because they. Zemo killed King T'Chaka. Yeah. So I was a bit slow on that.
Yeah. I think this gets like I do like the MCU, but like the more expansive it gets, you've got to just like try to remember, especially when they try to
all the films.
Yeah, exactly. And this one it really does try and work. Like the previous stuff is really important. Yeah. And so if you kind of don't have a memory for it, it's like you're going to be a bit lost. Because
I feel like Disney and Marvel are trying to introduce more Wakanda stuff in everything they're doing now, especially if it's based on Earth,
Yeah.
Which I like, because it's one of the best places to be in the MCU on Earth anyway, so why not?
Yeah.
So score for me for directing, I'll go like 7.7. How about you, sir?
I would go maybe like a 7.
All right, screenplay then. It's interesting how this episode starts with like the GRC advert at the very beginning, of the global repatriation council. It feels very like cheesy and propaganda-like and just very calming and nice. Just this irritating niceness, if you will.
And then straight to new Captain America raiding, the slums. Yeah, well, looking pissed, but he's also raiding the refugee camps that are owned by Germany, the GRC. Yeah. So like they're not that great, and nobody likes the GRC or Captain America.
Well, Captain America, I call him now.
What you call him? What?
Captain America.
Captain America. Okay, that's cool.
Because he is a bit shit, to be fair.
He's okay. He does look like he's in cosplay, to be honest. Like really cheap cosplay.
I mean, I don't mind the suit. I'll get to it in the next one about his suit. But I liked how like Bucky is talking to Sam about breaking Zemo out, like out of the prison, hypothetically, and then it's intercut with Zemo actually breaking out, and like Sam says, I don't like how casual you're being about this. It's unnatural. And where the hell are we, man? It's just like quite a funny line there. And it's just so obvious that, that this intercut of Zemo breaking out is real. There's no way this is fake.
Yeah.
So it just seemed completely obvious that it's real. And also, like, Zemo's a baron now. I'm like, well, that didn't seem to come across that he's, like, really rich in Civil War. So.
No, it's not. Again, it's not really mentioned. Again, I think this is kind of a
retcon.
It is a retcon, yeah. And I think it's, as I said before, to get him wearing a costume at some point in the episode, and he's a baron, he's rich, and he can fight. I think it's again trying to get like I think a more comic accurate one, but it's like by a screenwriter who I suppose isn't really with the one that was in Civil War, because he's just not like that in Civil War. Do you get what I kind of mean? It's like yeah. It's like, okay, I'll try and make him more accurate to the comics, but that's not really how he's...
And also it feels like they're making him rich just for storytelling purposes as well, just to make the storytelling easier. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got a private jet, he's got a butler, they can travel to places really quickly.
Yeah.
They can just get to Madripoor like that.
Yeah, he's got criminal connections and stuff. I mean, this can be seen as like being a complete revamp of the character, and I'm not sure. Maybe this is kind of like the confusing thing about like the MCU, because of the interconnectivity of it. Is a good thing, but it can also be kind of bad if a screenwriter has established something as fact. in an earlier thing, and especially this, you need to know about like Civil War and Endgame and everything to actually understand this plot.
Yeah.
But some of the characters, basically exclusively Baron Zemo, they're written differently. Yeah, I think it's just they want to make him more comic accurate. Yet you're kind of tied to this, how he's established.
I mean, I haven't rewatched Civil War in a while, so I don't fully know what the differences are, but it did feel jarring, watching him in this episode, especially. Yeah. But I did like the big black coat. That was quite nice.
That was cool. That. It's pretty sexy coat. Yeah, I want to buy that.
All right.
Have sex with him in that coat. No, it's too far. He's a handsome man, though. And also his dancing. I wish that was longer.
Yeah,
I wish that
there's
was
only
longer.
like one shot.
There's one shot. Yeah. I saw so many memes of that. I was expecting at least a 10-minute dance, but it's one shot of just him. None of you have a camera, so you can't see what I'm doing, but I look exactly like the GIF.
Oh, right. Yes, yeah. I can attest to that. It's really bad. I mean, I like the scene where they meet, like, Selby in Madripoor, and, like, Sam's phone rings, and he's made to put it on speaker, and then it's Sarah. That was quite tense, that bit, but it's kind of funny at the same time when Sarah says, "Cash, what did I tell you about those Cheerios?"
Yeah.
That was just like, who's Sam? And then it all kicks off.
Yeah.
That scene was quite good. I feel like the banter is probably the best in this episode. There's quite a lot of funny lines.
Yeah, I think they are having fun, especially, what was it? I like where he's complaining about his character. It's like, why the hell am I dressed like a pimp? He's like, you're not dressed like a pimp. Yeah.
I'm the only one that looks like a pimp. That's my favourite line, actually.
Yeah,
that
I think that's a good one. Yeah.
And like, what does he say? I can't run in these heels.
Yeah. I was going to say that. Where the hell?
Why are you wearing heels?
Yeah, that confused me.
I mean, you didn't strut into the Madripoor.
I was going to say that actually is my favourite line. Like, what on earth is he talking about? When was he wearing heels? Maybe that's a thing nobody notices about the Winter Soldier. He's got like high heels on or something.
No, this it was Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, who said that.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you it wasn't. I literally... I rewatched it before we did this. This is the Winter Soldier that said, I can't run in these heels.
Really?
Yes.
I don't...
Okay, you can watch it after. I bet you.
A pimp is more likely to run in heels.
Dude, I'm going to tell you. I literally just watched it before we did this.
All right.
To like
Okay.
If you're willing to bet money, that's cool.
No.
That's cool. Because, I got no money to lose. You carry on.
The Falcon did it. Falcon said it. Anyway, I like the bit when they first talk into Zemo, and he says, "If I may." No.
Yeah.
At the same time, apologies.
Yeah. I like when they were talking about Sharon's quarters, because she's now like a big criminal in with connections in Madripoor, and so they're asking her. So. And like her hideout is like so ostentatious and like statues and paintings and everything. Oh, what does he say? He's like, you've got is it a Van Gogh or something like that? Yeah. He's like, no, you've got a fake one. He's like, no, she's got the real one. Half of the ones in museums and stuff, they're all in art galleries. Half of them are fake, real stuff's here. It's like, what?
And he Googles it.
Yeah, he Googles it. Google it. Oh my God. Oh, damn. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to Google that yet. That does sound surprising if it's true.
When they're in the shootout, Sam shouts to Sharon, "You like living here?" And then when they come out of the container, Bucky's like, "Oh, follow my lead," and then they go the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it ends by Sam saying, "It's in every action movie."
Yeah.
That's quite cool. Have you got a favourite line then?
I look like a pimp. That's right.
Yeah, that's the funniest one.
I thought it was also, it was a funny moment where he's pretending to be the tiger or whatever, silent tiger or whatever,
smiling tiger.
He doesn't smile.
Who happens to look exactly like Sam Wilson?
Yeah, he looks exactly like him. I think it's like an unresolved plot, like his evil twin brother he didn't know about or something. But he doesn't smile. He's not very good at getting into character. But I like where he's like, the barman knows him. He's like, Would you like your favorite drink? He's like,
Yeah.
just nods. This guy like opens up a snake and then
So
pours
brilliant.
it into a drink.
And he's like, I love these. And he looks like, in every moment, he just looks like he's going to throw up.
Yeah.
And Bucky, it's like, don't you dare fucking throw up on me, man.
Yeah,
All right, score then for screenplay. I think banter-wise, it's definitely the best one for me. I mean...
I think Zemo has a lot of good banter as well.
Yeah, he does.
We're talking about, yeah, I think that's pretty good.
But certainly... Zemo's character is very different from Civil War, and it just feels a bit jarring to me and a bit of a slight retcon.
Yeah,
which is no bad thing if you're coming into this cold, but I don't think you would come into this cold.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's one of these things. If you come into this cold, somebody has to either explain it to you, or you have to have watched them. And if you watch them, you will understand that the characterization is completely different. You know,
so I would say there is a little bit of lazy writing in there in those terms. So I'd go like 6.8. How about you, sir?
I'll go for another 7.
Right, acting then. I think the only bit that we haven't covered already in acting is the moment when, like, near the start where a German like spits on Captain America's face, and then John Walker shouts at him saying, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah.
You know, and you do get that real sense that this guy is really unhinged and he could go nuts on someone at any time. And obviously later on in the series, he does. Certainly that little tease there that this guy is not in full control.
Yeah,
even without the serum.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I mean, what do you reckon about Wyatt Russell as John Walker?
I think he's doing actually a good job. Like, I think he gets across an overconfidence as he's playing it. You can tell he's sort of putting it on, which I think is good. You know, if you can act like your character's acting when he's, do you know what I mean? He's not confident enough. I think you get that from John Walker. He's like, just this inadequacy in him. He's got this huge responsibility to be the next Captain America. It seems like he's trying to play that part, but he's just trying. Like, you know, he knows he's falling short of it. He knows he can't really live up to that. I think you do get that in his performance. He's like overcompensating. To be honest, like Sam and Bucky, they don't like him very much because
obviously Steve gave Sam the shield.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. It's just the fact, it's the main fact. Like that was bequeathed to Sam, and now just some random guy has got it. But I do feel kind of sympathetic for the character. Like, he is well trained. He's been given this enormous responsibility. He has a great friend of his, that's trying to support him in this. And he's going against superhumans, even though he
doesn't have the serum.
Not superhuman. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, especially, when we get onto the next episode. Yeah. I thought the next episode characterizes him really well. Like, amps that up to 11, just the way he can act.
I mean, have you read the comics of John Walker?
Not really. I kind of know of him by doing some research, even before this show. I've not really read much Captain America or been very interested in Captain America as a character.
Okay.
So it's not, so his kind of rogues gallery and stuff is not something I've really been that keen on. I do know he becomes, John Walker becomes a villain called US Agent. Yeah. Something like that, yeah. He's like an evil Captain America.
My favorite performance in this episode, I'm gonna give it to Anthony Mackie. I think he has the funniest lines, and just that performance when he's just trying to drink that snake drink was just hilarious, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think it's going to be controversial because we've shat on him for a bit, but I'm probably going to give it to Zemo, the guy that plays Zemo.
Oh, Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of, even though as we've kind of already beaten with a dead horse, like writing-wise, he doesn't come across the same. I think acting, he's having fun, Yeah, and
definitely.
You can get that from him. He's having fun, and he's only doing this because, I mean, he does say it. Obviously, he hates super people, but it's just the fact that you can see it disgusts him. It absolutely disgusts him. All these superheroes and supervillains and what have you. You could tell he was going to shoot that guy straight in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they really weren't keeping an eye on him at all, were
No,
they?
not at all. Yeah.
And we'll talk more about his secret weapon in the next episode as well.
I hope they don't go full, like, it's one of the things I was saying with Baron Zemo. So I don't really like Captain America, but I did some research, and his villains are very weird, and Baron Zemo in the comics is very strange. They were kind of pushing him more comic accurate than Civil War. I liked Civil War where he was a lot more muted, and he was just like a really smart, Batman, basically. In the comics, like, he has a strange mask, and, like, he uses glue. It's fucking weird. If he starts breaking out the glue, like in the comics, his mask is stuck to his face via glue, and he uses glue. That's weird. He uses glue gadget. It's
glue guns.
It's stupid. So, I don't know.
He must be good at arts and crafts.
Yeah, he's just a terrible character. So I hope they don't go full into him.
I hope not.
Yeah, this is kind of a taste of what of the fantastical, but yeah.
So I'm going to go a solid 8 for acting. What are you going to go for?
Yeah, I think that's quite fair. Maybe I'll go 8.2.
8.2.
Yeah.
Right, let's add up the scores then for episode 3, The Power Broker. Power Broker gets 44.7. Not brilliant. Compared to like the Mandalorian episodes.
Oh, well,
and WandaVision.
Yeah, it was just in another league, really.
Right, my episode then is episode 4. I mean, I actually just rewatched episode 5 actually because I thought it did leave me a little bit cold. I was a bit annoyed with it, but rewatching it, I was like, yeah, it hit home a little bit, and it's the emotions got to me a little bit more. I don't know why. I think what I was expecting in episode 5 was just a faster paced episode of just, what are they going to do with Walker?
Yeah.
The Flag Smashers accelerating what they're going to do, and it's just everything coming together a little bit more. Maybe it's just I'm stuck in this mold of like how Game of Thrones do things. We're in their penultimate episode. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but
oh god, yeah, who hasn't?
Yeah, I mean there are some people, but
not
us.
No. I think everybody's watched Game of Thrones.
Do you know what I mean? Where the penultimate episodes in Game of Thrones, that's the big action episode, where everything goes crazy, and then the last one is something like episode 5 in this. So it just took me by surprise that they were just going for this very much settled down fixing a boat montage and having a lot of dialogue between each other, which I kind of wanted in the first episode and episode 2. I just wasn't expecting it, but I did like it on the second watch. But I ultimately went for episode 4, The Whole World is Watching, because this one's pretty action packed. I think for like episode 5, I didn't mind the wrap up, but I do kind of agree with you. It's like I think it's because it leaves a cliffhanger at the end of this episode where some serious action is going to go down, and the culmination of that at the beginning of episode 5 is great. I think that's the problem. It kicks it off into high gear. It's like. Yeah. It happens at the beginning of episode 5, and then everything calms down. I don't think it should have done that. I think everything should have concluded in this episode, and then the last episode should have been wrap up. I think you're right. Like episode 5 feels like a drag, and when the hell is something going to happen? Because I think you have this high expectation. Like this episode leaves you like, I can't wait to see the next one. There's going to be so much action in it. I just feel like episode 5 is just in the wrong place.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
I would say, I'm not sure about that. I just think maybe can I just spoil the fight with Walker? Yeah. Should have happened maybe at the end of this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and then everything calms down at the 5th episode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it leads up to there is going to be a huge fight with John Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end of this episode. That happens at the beginning of episode 5, and then it just calms down. Like this, the fight takes 5 minutes, and then it calms down. Yeah, or at the very least, the fight should happen at the end of episode 5, so there's something for you to look forward to. I think episode 5 gets your heart racing at the beginning, and then it kind of everything. It's more noticeable when it's wrapped
which
up.
Which very much follows the pattern in all these episodes. They all have like really strong beginnings. Like in episode 1, you have that incredible fight scene. With the Falcon, with all those helicopters.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
And then, you have the fight in episode 5. They're all really, I can't remember them all right now, but they're all really strong openings, you know.
Yeah.
So what happens in episode 4? Episode 4, AO gives Bucky some more time, like 8 hours or something, so that they can do what they want to do with Zemo, and then at the end of that, they're going to bring him in. They find a lead of where Carly is, and they try and talk to her in more peaceful terms, like to talk her down out of it, because she's obviously killing a lot of innocent people. And then John Walker and Hoskins are hot on their tail as well, and they meet them, and it all goes kind of wrong, and Hoskins ends up being killed. And there's also a really cool fight scene with the Dora Milaje as well, and it all kind of kicks off really in this episode, to put it bluntly. So are there any like directional moments for you, Boaz, that you quite liked? Let's talk about the Dora Milaje fight, because I really love this moment, this whole fight scene. It was really great, you know, with Captain America trying to fight the Dora Milaje, and Bucky and Sam just watching them at the beginning, just saying like,
"Yeah, you got
should
this,
we
John.
do something?" Yeah, looking strong, John.
Yeah,
you know, really patronising.
Yeah, that was funny.
You know, and the Dora Milaje just kicking their ass, and you know, like Walker like touching AO on the shoulder, you know he's done something really stupid there. You know, and I saw a lot of memes of that. You're like, yeah, as soon as he did that, you knew he was going to get his ass kicked. Yeah. And I love the way it ends with like AO unlocking Bucky's arm. I did not expect that at all. That looked really epic. And then one of them like doing the shield flip thing, like catching it on her arm. It was kind of interesting though when when AO tells her to leave it on the floor, like leave it, and then they try and find Zemo. But I'm like, that's technically yours. You can take that. You know, this shield has been made by stolen vibranium. Yeah. You have every right to take it if you want, you know.
Yeah, no, that was quite interesting. And they could have done. Nobody would have been able to stop them.
I mean, there's one point in this film that kind of took me out of it, in this episode that took me out of it a little bit, is the directional choice when Zemo finds all the vials. It's like she shot Carly and injured her, and he sees all the vials and he's stamping on all of them. Then they do this thing where it's kind of like from above through glass, and he's just like stamping on glass. And for me, stuff like that, and when like blood hits the camera lens, it just takes me out of it. It just kind of annoys me. I'm just like, well, Zemo is just stamping on glass right now. He's not stamping on the ground. You know, it just doesn't.
Oh, what, see-through floors
right.
And stuff?
Yeah, yeah. It just didn't look right to me, but those type of things just bother me.
Yeah,
they bother you? Or?
Yeah, it is kind of unrealistic. Actually, I think my best, like, through the floor, but it looks like glass moment was in, even though it doesn't make sense, really, that kind of shot, was in Dread. I thought that was great. You know, where she, you know, he throws her, like, from the building behind you. No? But when she hits the ground, instead of her hitting the ground, it's from the ground up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, it is a shot that doesn't really make much sense.
But I think the shot that makes this episode stand out more than anything is the very last one, where you've got Walker with the bloody shield as he's basically brutally murdered one of the Flag Smashers. It's just a really striking image, and you never associate this type of image with Captain America at all. And it's just like, wow, that's, you know, not something I would ever imagine to see.
Yeah, I like the, you know, from the bottom up, looking at him.
Yeah, with slightly low angle.
Yeah, low angle with the bloodstained shield. That was really good. Also, like, when he was confronting Bucky about, you know, they were leaving Sam to, you know, talk some sense into her. You know, they won't go guns blazing. And Walker's just really impatient. And he manages to get Sam to, you know, think of, oh, come on, you know, you're going to let your partner fucking die like that. I like that. I like that scene. Even how it was shot, I like that. You know, thought it was really
okay.
Yeah.
Directing score, what are you going for?
There's a lot of cool action in this episode. I think one of my gripes was that there were so many individual action scenes rather than like darted around. I don't know. You know, we'll go into script writing, but you know, on a purely technical note, they were amazing. You know, they was amazingly shot. I think, you know, a lot of the best action scenes of this series just packed into one episode. Quite a lot of fight scenes. It's almost like a mini movie, so it was pretty good. I'm going to give this 7.4, maybe?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid, to be fair, and a lot of the action, you know, that Dora Milaje fight was just so cool, and I think in general, the moment when Walker just goes a bit nuts and just like dives through the window and lands on the car, that was pretty epic. And just like, oh shit, he's going to do something crazy in a minute.
I like where he's like talking. It's a kind of reserved bit where he's just talking to his friend Battlestar or whatever. And he's
Hoskins,
like, Hoskins, and he's like, "Would you take it?" I like that whole scene. There's the next fight scene, and he's fighting that flag smasher and just bends the pole around his hands.
Yeah,
you're
and
like,
Sam's like, "What have you done?"
Yeah.
Oh,
that was cool. Yeah, shit was gonna hit the fan there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go like 7.8. All right, screenplay then. What are your thoughts on the screenplay in this one?
Yeah, I think it was pretty solid. It's probably, I think, one of my favorite, just action-wise in the series. I think my only problem with it is, I think at the height of the episode was when they barge in on Carly, and a fight scene starts, and Zemo is actually trying to kill her, and Walker's getting invited. Just everything's gone to hell. Up to then, I was like, there was all these action scenes and all this, and I was like, I'm totally invested in this. Yeah. And I think what kind of, I don't know what the word is, like deflates you, kind of, gets rid of all that excitement, was the fact that it kind of really just slowed down almost to a halt after that, where it's like, he's destroyed the vials, John has got a vial, all of this stuff is going on, and she goes off to recuperate, and then it's like they're in their hotel room and everything. I just felt like, why aren't they carrying on? Why aren't they trying to keep finding him? Why is everything like stopped? And then it restarts again when, she phoned Sam's. Yeah,
more prepared. He's got his Falcon suit on.
Yeah, more prepared. Was that the only reason that you had this? I don't know.
It did feel a little flimsy because obviously she threatens Sarah, Sam's sister, and she's just trying to meet Sam again, just to see if Sam would join her. But I'm just like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
He's already said to you, you've killed innocent people. Like, there's just no way he's going to join you. So it did feel a bit flimsy and just another opportunity to just have a fight,
Yeah.
But rather than actually try and commence some more of their other plans that they want to do, and try and take down the GRC. But I liked actually a lot of the moments with Zemo in this episode with the concepts of like, what does it actually mean to be a super soldier today, in this world post Steve Rogers, And I like the line where he says, the desire to become a superhuman cannot be separated by supremacists' ideals. Anyone with that serum is inherently on that path. She will not stop. She will escalate until you kill her or she kills you. I like the questions this episode proposes and about how a super soldier serum changes you as a person and whether you have a divine right to change things through force because you have power. And the only one that's never been corrupted by it morally is Steve Rogers. And will the world get another Steve Rogers or not? It's up to Sam to figure that out, whether he wants it or not, So I kind of like that concept in this episode. So what do you think about
his philosophy of it?
The discussion.
Yeah, so I personally think his philosophy is bullshit. It doesn't scan with me at all.
Okay.
The way I see it is, if you look at the plot of Age of Ultron, which is like where, again, you have to go back and forth through the timeline. How his family died, it makes sense in that context, and then and then what they were doing in Civil War was kind of like saying, that could happen quite a lot, because it happened in Civil War at the beginning as well. The fact is, they escalate mini fights into huge fights, and in the case of Age of Ultron and the destruction of Sokovia, the existence of the Avengers and Iron Man trying to save the world, he created Ultron, and this led to, a huge fight which, destroyed a city, Yeah. I don't think it scans personally. I think it's a very common trope if you really like your superhero media of are the heroes just as bad? I think it's really interesting route to go on. I don't think it scans in my personal point of view. Because
why is that?
A lot of the problems that they encounter would have existed had they actually not taken up the tights, or got superpowers, and then had they failed.
Okay.
Well, the result would have been even more horrendous had they not actually got involved. Yeah.
So
I don't think it really scans, in my personal opinion. I mean, if you're going to say that, then
no.
should we even have cops? Should we even have a military? You know, to me, it seems a bit ridiculous. You know,
going very deep there.
You know, it's going to lead to some escalation.
I think what Zemo is trying to say, well, at this point in the MCU timeline, after Steve Rogers, in a time past beyond Endgame, do we need another Captain America? That's the question that's being posed in this whole series, you know? Should someone else carry the shield, or should the shield be destroyed? Yeah,
well, they talk about that a lot, you know. They talk about the history of the super soldier program and people trying to get super soldiers and America and what have you in the history after Captain America. And it's kind of interesting, you know, get into sort of race politics and stuff.
That's the other question, obviously. Should the next Captain America be a black man? So that's what, you know, Sam has to grapple with as well. Like, how is he going to approach this? Because Steve chose him, and obviously at the start of this series he said no, I can't do it. And this whole thing, I think we kind of needed a little bit more anyway in this series about the progression of Sam, like, choosing to take up the shield again. But it does throw up interesting questions of, like, should you take the serum or not and be the new Captain America in a world so divided after the blip, you know? Anyway, moving on. I do have some issues with the script in this episode, even though it is my choice.
I think that kind of goes for a lot of the episodes in this series. You'll find something with the pacing where you go, why did that happen? Or a line and you're like, why was that said?
Yeah. I mean, one issue I have is, like, when Sam, Bucky, and Zemo arrive in, like, the GRC camp where Carly is and her gang. Like, people run away from Sam and Bucky and they don't want to be around them. And yet, a creepy guy with a big black coat singing Bar Bar Black Sheep approaches a load of kids. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll take some Turkish Delight. Turkish Delight's awesome.
Man, I would do anything for Turkish Delight. You never had Turkish Delight?
Yeah, but from a creepy guy in a massive coat singing Blah Blah Black Sheep, acting really creepy, I'm not sure.
To each his own.
I mean, that must be some amazing Turkish Delight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that suitcase is basically full of Turkish Delight. I mean, it can't be anything else.
Yeah, that would have been brilliant. No, it's a good point.
But one thing I loved in the script was the fact that Sam recognizes the weird head tilt things that we've mentioned many times on this podcast. I was like, yep, Sam Wilson is now my favorite Avenger just because he recognizes the head tilt thing is fucking weird. And it always brings up the bad guy. Because, like, Bucky, like, tries to threaten Zemo.
Oh, yeah, because he knows where Carly is because he got it from the little kids. They've told him. But he's not going to divulge that.
No, and he says he's just trying to extort you and do that stupid head tilt thing. I love that. And then, like, if you notice, like, Walker does the same thing. He does the head tilt thing just before he picks up the serum after he takes out Zemo. You know, he does the same thing. I'm just like, yep, that guy's the real villain, dude. He does the head tilt thing.
Yeah, villain's head tilt.
Or anti-hero if you're Rorschach, you know.
Yeah.
But you mentioned briefly that you really liked the Walker and Hoskins discussion of whether they should take the serum or not. For me, I didn't like it so much because I just feel like, well, he's taken the bottle anyway, put it in his pocket, and it's been teased several other times that he really wants the serum. I'm not sure you needed that added scene. I don't know. It just slowed things down a bit because you know that he's going to take it. It's just a question of when, not if. And that scene was just saying, should I take it or not? But you just know he's going to do it, you know?
Yeah, but you could tell he was hesitating. It's not just like, oh, he's going to do it. It was like, he's giving it serious consideration. You know, will it make me worse? You know, will it make me better? Do I need it? You know, what about the other guys that have taken it? Some are bad, some are good. And I suppose I just kind of liked it that it was a little more human. It's. I don't think Walker, even though he is kind of being set up as the villain, is like a terrible person. He's not a terrible person. He's a guy who's trying to fill some incredibly big shoes. And you could tell, as I said before, I do like the performance of the guy that does him.
Wyatt Russell.
As he kind of exuberates like an overconfidence and a sort of, but a kind of vulnerability of like, can I do this? Am I good enough to do this? Yeah. And I just kind of like that. Sprinkle that throughout. I thought that was all right. To me, I don't hate him as a character. I'm kind of a bit sympathetic with him. It's like, you're not really as good as Captain America. Is that your fault, though?
It just feels like, the burden was always going to be way too heavy on him, whether he had the serum or not.
Yeah, I do kind of agree that when he actually grabbed the serum, it's very clear from a storytelling point of view, he's going to take it. Maybe that scene would have been better. I did like the fact that he at least discussed it. And also just kind of the different conclusion that he has to Sam. Zemo asks him, would you ever take it? It's like, no, hell no. I'm good. It's like, I'm good enough as it is. Yeah.
And he didn't hesitate.
I'm good enough as is. And, with John, he's like, he's really, really considering it. He just, maybe if it was like from a prior episode where they were just discussing it.
So have you got a favourite line in this episode?
Oh, actually, maybe even just the line from John Walker, they weren't even super soldiers. That was pretty good.
My favourite line is from AO, and she says, the Dora Milaje have jurisdiction wherever the Dora Milaje find themselves to be. That was pretty epic. Yeah, they're doing a Disney Plus Wakanda series as well. I'm very much looking forward to that whenever that happens. Probably not for a long time yet. Right, score then, Boaz, for acting. For screenplay, rather. Shit.
All right, screenplay, 7.5.
Yeah, I'll go 7.3, I think. Right, acting then. The opening of this episode's really strong, as we've said in all the episodes, but this one's very different. We're in Wakanda like 6 years ago, and Florence Kasumba, who plays Ayo, says the Winter Soldier words, and to try and see if whether they've wiped their mind of the trigger words to activate the Winter Soldier. And Sebastian Stan is incredible. He gets incredibly emotional in this scene in a way that we've never really seen before. And you see flashbacks of him as the Winter Soldier, and he completely breaks down. And then at the end, he kind of like smiles with relief to Florence, and she says, "You're free," several times. It's just a really strong, like, emotional episode for Bucky. I really like that bit.
Yeah, that was some quality acting. That was really, that was quite powerful.
Yeah, I want more of her. I want more. She's so cool.
Yeah, she was really cool.
But certainly one character that wanted more, certainly in terms of fisticuffs, was Wyatt Russell's Captain America. In that scene where like Bucky is like holding him off a bit and trying to let Sam talk to Carly and talk her down, from doing what she's doing. You could just sense right from the off, Wyatt Russell was just really itching to get into a fight with Carly, and he needs to punch things now. And I find it interesting, actually, talking about his costume, that he's almost always wearing the helmet. And it makes him look quite dorky, especially like the chin strap. Whereas Steve Rogers' Captain America didn't really have a chin strap, I don't think. And Rogers kind of was wearing the helmet less and less as he went through his Captain America career.
I also think it doesn't fit him that well. Do you know what I mean? It looks a little spacious, like, it's not really for his. I think that could be a thematic nod to the character. The helmet doesn't fit him. Really, he doesn't fit this role,
I'm not so sure it doesn't look like it fits him. It just doesn't look right, the jaw just doesn't go. His casting of Wyatt Russell is very purposeful to just make this character just not feel right as Captain America for us, watching it. And there's another great moment from Wyatt Russell, actually, after Hoskins is killed by Carly. You get this... blink and you'll miss it. You get this I think it's a side profile view of Wyatt Russell, where you get this little head wobble where he's just losing himself a little bit in rage, just before he just goes nuts and goes through the window. It's just a really interesting moment there from Wyatt Russell, of just this first moment of just like, what the fuck have they done to my partner? What do you think about the actress who plays Carly Morgenthau? There you go. Played by Erin Kelly.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Like, I think she has... I don't know. I'm going to say, like, a little underwhelmed.
I do find her character a little bit irritating because I'm not. You never really establish what her end game is. You don't really know what they're trying to do.
I think,
and it's just like I know they're trying to like disrupt the GRC, and then we only really get a little glimpse of what their big plan is at the end of episode 5. So
yeah, there is that. I don't know. It's just to me, she doesn't. I don't really want to crap on a young actress and what have you, but she just doesn't seem in charge. She doesn't seem like the leader of this organization. I'm just,
Does she seem too young?
She acts too young. Yeah, you can be quite young. You can be her age and have presence. I don't think she kind of has that, to be honest.
Yeah. With you. I think I would agree, but I think there is one moment where she's quite good, where she's threatening Sarah on the phone. I think she delivers those moments quite well. But, I mean, as you said, like in a lot of the other scenes, I'm not particularly interested in her performance. There's nothing particularly special, and it's all kind of one note. But in that scene with Sarah on the phone, it's quite sinister and delivered really well.
You don't really want to say bad things about an up-and-coming actress. I think this part is probably a bit too much for her. Really, I don't want to get all this. I think some of the main characters really do kind of just outshine her. Even if they're next to her, they're just much better than she is.
Like I don't really care for that character, what she's doing.
I don't know. To me, I don't think it's necessarily the script. I think it's the performance of the script. It's like even her brother figure that gets is the one that gets his fucking head caved in.
To put it mildly.
Yeah. But when he's talking to her and they're talking about, if what they're doing is right, I was like, yeah, this guy, I can sort of see what he's talking about, yeah? I could feel it, Yeah. But I just can't feel it coming from her, do you know what I mean? Maybe he should have been, in charge. Mm. Yeah,
I would agree.
I just don't feel it really from this actress, to be honest.
Harsh, but fair.
It's quite harsh.
My favourite performance in this episode is Wyatt Russell as Captain America, definitely.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll 100% agree. This is a great episode for the character, to be honest with me. And I think, for me, I think the character is actually quite nuanced, and through most of the series, he's just kind of a jerk. So much happens with him, script-wise, his growth, and then the actor really going for that. It's like there's him trying to do the right thing. There's him just trying to, I just need to get in a fight. He's very impatient. It's not really critical thinking.
Yeah.
To him just being inadequate, to him trying to, find a purpose, take charge, to just terrible misery and anger. He goes through quite a bit.
I feel like I wanted more of John Walker's character development up until this point, rather than the Flag Smashers. Because you don't really see him much. Well, you don't see him at all in the first episode. I mean, he gets very little to do in episode 3. I wanted more from that character, really. Maybe just a few extra episodes. I know there was a lot of problems behind the scenes because of the coronavirus, and I think even the main plot of this show apparently was which is just rumors, by the way, that they were going to go down a virus route in the plot. And obviously that wouldn't have gone down well at all. So there's a lot of changes. So I think you have to appreciate that. So score then, Boaz, what are you going for acting?
I think to me that my two standout performances are the guy that plays John Walker and Winter Soldier, Bucky. To me, they're my favourite performances. Yeah. No names, Boaz. Just characters, strictly characters.
Score?
I'm just going back to the Carly thing. It does kind of bother me because she is very important to the series. This episode is heavily about her, yet I don't quite feel the acting from the actress. I just don't think she's in the same league as her contemporaries, which is a shame. You've got this show and you're meant to be the villain. Huge show. And I just don't think it comes off across enough, Yeah,
I think I agree with you.
So I don't know how much I should subtract, from her, from those great performances and her, where she's just kind of okay, I think maybe if she wasn't in it, I would give it maybe an 8.7 or something like that.
So with her in it today.
Yeah, I'll give. Shut up! You always take forever counting the scores. Don't today
Do
me, Christ. I'll go 7.7.
Okay, finally.
You little shit.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Wyatt Russell. I think he's a tremendous actor. You know, Kurt Russell's son.
Oh, Christ, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know.
You didn't know that? No.
I learned so many things on this show.
Yeah, so I'll go solid 8, I think. You know, and again, Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are really solid in this one as well, especially Mackie.
Although, you know, you were saying you would like have had more development from John Walker. Maybe it's fine that he didn't get much and just like contempt for the character. This episode, I do think really fleshes him out. I do feel kind of, you know, a bit more sympathy for him. He's like a sympathetic villain.
But I guess like that's what they're trying to do with Carly Morgenthau as well. They're trying to make her out as a sympathetic character as well. I just don't think it fits having like two of those characters in one show.
One of the problems, and I do kind of agree with this, I was watching some other person's opinion, is who exactly is the villain here, like the proper villain? This show doesn't feel like it actually has one. It's got a morally ambiguous Carly, who they just want to help, they don't want to kill or destroy, and a morally ambiguous Captain America. And even kind of a morally ambiguous Zemo, you know, he's helping them. He's not even the villain yet.
Choose a villain, guys. Choose a villain.
I'm saying you could maybe say the bad guy is the GRC, but you haven't seen a spokesman for them or anybody in charge.
It's just like the senator who's had like 2 lines.
So you don't even know who the hell is running that thing. They're off in the background. So it's going to be strange if they do like show who's the one pulling the strings at the very last episode. Well, they're going to have to, you know. Are you going to care?
Right, let's add up the scores then for episode 4. The whole world is watching. And the score is 45.7. So it wins by a whole rounded point over the Power Broker, who got 44.7. Talking of the Power Broker, we'll go into predictions now for what we think will happen in the final episode. One question that's always been niggling at me: who is the Power Broker? And is it Sharon Carter?
It does seem like it's going that route. You know, because she helps Carly get an assassin.
Yeah, she's clearly talking to someone in French.
Yeah,
from
so
Algeria
and that's
or whatever.
And that's because she's Carly's like, we're getting an assassin.
But why though? Is he just doing it for the money?
This person is going to kill Sam and Bucky. You know, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on really.
I think one thing's for sure is certainly that suitcase ain't going to be filled with Turkish delight. It's going to be, you know, a Falcon Captain America suit for Sam Wilson for sure. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think Bucky will get like a revamped suit or anything. But obviously we see Captain America creating a new shield with his medals on it, welding his medals on it. So certainly they're going to lock horns in the final one. I mean, do you reckon John Walker is going to bite the dust? Is he going to die?
I don't think he's going to die. No.
No? Are we going to see Zemo again, do you reckon?
I don't think we're going to see Zemo again, no.
Another question then. Do you think we're going to get a series 2?
Yeah, I think so.
You reckon? With all these other Disney Plus shows coming?
I just don't get...
I'm not so sure. I think the story will continue with like maybe the New Avengers or with Sam leading it as Captain America.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, probably. I just don't see how you can wrap up all of this. It does really seem like it started in one episode. This feels like it needed to be longer.
As you said, I think briefly at the start, this certainly feels like a 6-hour film rather than like a must-watch TV show every week like WandaVision was. And obviously there has been some criticism that, you know, Disney haven't dropped this all in one go. It made sense with WandaVision, I guess, a little bit. I mean, they dropped the first 2 with WandaVision, but because every episode was trying to be a different TV sitcom every week, pretty much, this one is just a straight thriller, you know.
And also, you know, basically the whole thing just kind of happens at once. There's not like a divide between, oh, this is what's going to happen, you know, on the next adventure or on the next day or whatever. So what am I thinking is going to happen? Probably the villain might be... Because here's the thing, I'm thinking the last villain is either going to be the GRC or it's going to be like the Power Broker.
Because they're holding them hostage at the moment, aren't they?
They are holding them hostage. But it's one of these things, these are 2 characters, whoever the hell's in charge of the GRC, which is kind of a faceless organization, to the Power Broker. You haven't seen them. Maybe it would make sense with, I don't know. Could Sharon Carter be the villain? I don't know. I'm really kind of confused.
I reckon she could be. And also, who's this Val person that contacted John?
Oh, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that bit? Do you know who that character is in the comics? Or?
Never heard of her before at all. I'd have to do some research on that. Maybe, actually, maybe she works for the Power Broker, and maybe they've now got John. I think it would make more sense if you had to wrap this up that this nameless, or whatever, the Power Broker, whoever the hell that is the villain somehow behind most of this. They're kind of behind the Flag Smashers, giving them the serum, and really wanting it back. Like, they're like threatening them constantly, but they don't have it.
I think we need death in this episode as well, this final one. I mean, Carly could die. John could die. I think I probably... going to be with you a bit more that John, I think, probably will survive and we might see him again, like a villain Avengers, I don't know. But with this Val person...
I think they might beat Seven Shades of shit out of him and like have him arrested. It's
very difficult to call, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
with Carly, I don't see her dying. I don't know. Yeah, Batroc is going to die. I mean, he should have died in like Captain America 2, like, or even the beginning of this series. Like, yeah, he's going to die. He's going to die. Maybe he's behind it all. You've got to have somebody, that we've actually... Because here's the thing. Yeah. You've got all these, like the Power Broker, you don't know who the hell that is. And you've got the GRC, you're not sure exactly what its deal is. There could be something more shady and sinister going on. These are the two, they're very important to the plot, but they're kind of just a bit removed from what's going on. But if they kind of introduce, the Power Broker is Scooby villain time, take off the mask, and it's just some guy, who's going to give a fuck?
They won't do that.
So it's got to be somebody.
They won't
do
that. I mean, it has to.
It's got to be Sharon.
It's
got to be Sharon because I mean, who the hell else has been introduced in this bloody series?
I mean, it's definitely not Zemo.
No, it can't be.
It could be this Val person.
Yeah, but that's not really much of a reveal. She just jumps out of the.
No.
It's got to be Sharon because.
So our predictions are Sharon's going to be the Power Broker. For reasons I have no idea. It can only be for money and just hating her
I would say
country
she's
or
got to be the
something.
ultimate villain of the series because you can't, one, have a reveal and then have like an ultimate villain who's... it's a bit too much. So I'm gonna make a prediction. It's gonna say she's going to be the Power Broker and she's going to be the villain of the last episode. And they're going to kick her ass or whatever.
Batroc's going to die. I think Carly's going to die. And I think John will be sent to prison and be broken out, maybe.
I think maybe John's going to get sent to prison, and either he's going to be he's going to come out and be some future villain, or they've been talking about this Thunderbolts movie, which is kind of like a Suicide Squad. So I was thinking you could be like with a lot of these series that are ending, if they keep the villain alive and just have General Ross being like, have you heard of the Thunderbolts Initiative? Like, just have a kind of reverse Avengers recruitment. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's what I would do. Just have him live and then have General Ross recruit him.
And I think certainly what this show, I think, will need to finish on is like, what is the world going to see Sam Wilson as Captain America? What is the reception going to be for him? I think they do need to address that in this series.
Oh no, that's not going to happen. That was a really stupid theory. I was going to go, maybe the villain, maybe the Power Broker is Isaiah Bradley, and then I thought, no, that's a shit idea. That is a ridiculous idea. If they do that, they should be shot. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Although he does hate the US, I suppose. They mistreated him. Could work. It would come out of left field. It would be a surprise, maybe.
Yeah.
There's got to be Sharon, but it would be a hell of a surprise if it was some old guy. Yeah.
No.
All right. We'll see. If it happens, I'm not saying it will happen. I'm getting a point for that. I don't even care. I'm getting a point for that. It's so ridiculous. And if it happens...
You reckon it could happen now, aren't you?
I'm actually... I thought it was stupid, but I'm convincing myself of it now. I haven't heard anybody suggest it.
No, it's just ridiculous.
Okay, we'll think about it.
That's it for this episode. Cheers, Boaz, for joining me once again, and it will be really interesting to find out what happens. All right. See ya. Bye. Bye.
Bye. I missed the part, but that's my problem.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast, and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.